A shotgun, a rifle, and a four-wheel drive, and a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive.
In the medieval times, the government was called feudalism. And feudalism was when all the people of an area would answer to a lord. He was very powerful. And then the lord would answer to the king or the queen of the country. And then you'd go on, and the lord would have vassals underneath him, and then serfs underneath the vassals, and then slaves underneath the serfs. And then the lord was a really rich man. He'd have a lot of land, a lot of big house, kind of like drug dealers today. They would have big houses.
Like Brett.
Like Brett.
Drug dealer Brett.
Drug dealer Brett Breda. All right? And then...
Selling crank.
Yep. And then the
one
lords...
supplier, bud. Recognize.
And then the lords were...
You better redneckinize, boy. Get going, Tyler.
The lords were the court of the area. They would punish criminals and say somebody steals something from a house. Like Call of Duty Black Ops 1. You're in somebody's house, you see them playing this game, you're like, hey, that's pretty cool. Call of Duty. So you steal it. Get your hand cut off. Because that's how it was done in those days. You steal something, they cut off your hand. Eye for an eye. Hammurabi's code. And then... Yeah, that's about it.
The king was the absolute ruler of the land. Everyone answered to him in the long run. All of the land owned by his lords and their vassals in turn belonged to the king. He could make laws whenever he wanted about whatever he wanted. They were careful about raising taxes, though. People would revolt if they felt they were being unfairly taxed. The king had many people who worked for him directly to help make laws, fight wars, and on public relations. These people together often held all of the power in the country because they could persuade the king. I'm going to talk to you about vassals. Vassals were people who lived on and farmed on the lord's land in turn for protection. They had to serve once a year in the lord's army. They had to give a portion of their crop to the lord. They also had to pay a fee or tax to the lord so he could hire mercenaries to fight in the lord's army. Vassals could sometimes accumulate enough land under a lord by cropping it, and they could actually hire people to work for them. Some vassals even started their own armies in efforts to become lords. That's about it.
About some peasants. Peasants, or serfs, were the lowest ranking social class next to the slaves. They would work for the lords or vassals and receive little in return. They would also serve in the lord's armies. They worked the fields with the vassals. They could not leave the land without permission from the lord, and if they did, they received some sort of punishment. If they did get some land, look at that right there. See that deer? Down there, right next to the tree. They ran away. Ran on down. You can see it still right there. All the way down there. Right next to that big tree.
Brett, there's a lot of big trees.
I must have ran away then.
Did you finish all that?
No. Get back here. And guess what? Peasants. They were a bit snobby. They thought they were hot stuff. They said if they worked the land, oh, this is our land. It's not their land. It's the owner's land. They think they were tied to the land. No! They were not tied to the land. Now this land right here, they would think they own it if they worked it. No! Not their land. Peasant is a peasant. I should say that way.
Now we're going to talk about the Chancellor. That's what we're talking about. Without the Chancellor, the king wouldn't really have any power. What, Brett? Big old turd. The Chancellor was who wrote and enforced all the king's laws. The Chancellor were usually bishops, which shows the influence that the church had on the government during this time. And they also eventually became to hear cases from the courts. That's the Chancellor. What do you think, too, about the Chancellor? Brett's stupid. He's got widow's peak. Talks a lot of smack. That's all.
Let's chuck it down the hill.
For practicing throwing footballs, this is what we do. Let's get our arm strength up so we can throw the ball 200 yards. Touchdown.
That's how we do it.
Go.
I'm one of them people that just stare at things and they just die. Alright? This is the icy stare. I'm gonna give this thing.
Ray Lewis thinks he's tough. I never seen him tackle a tree.
Coming out of the backfield. 40-yard dash. Yeah! 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 Yeah!
Get it, Ben. You're on camera.
I am? Man.
Go.
Dude. Just have a good grip on her. It's hard to hit. Just hit fun.
Yeah.
Shared football. Well, it seems that we got some elk in Iowa that we haven't ever heard of. People say we ain't got elk in Iowa. I beg to differ. Look what we found here. Elk trail right here.
There's
Look
two
at that.
toes.
2 toes of an elk.
2 elk toes. There should be.
Looks like I'm gonna be killing me an elk this year, boys.
Oh yeah.
Around here in elk.
A+ Outdoors here. This is how Iowa boys train for football here in the fall.
Southern Iowa, Sheridan football players.
Texas don't know how to do it.
And then look here.
That's how we get done.
That's how Southern Iowa boys train for baseball. Out in the backwoods, right here.
The lords were the courts of the area. They did all the judicial stuff for the king. They would say if somebody committed a crime like stealing something, the lord would take care of it instead of bothering the king with it.
Yeah, like if they stole like Call of
Say
Duty.
somebody steals Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Okay? And they're out there in somebody's house and they steal it. The lord finds out, he cuts off their hand because that's how shit was done. God damn it! And then the lord was a really rich person who had a lot of land, and he'd live on these large estates out in the country, like kind of like a drug dealer today, kind of. And then,
like Brett.
like Brett, and then, and then